another few minutes. I don't know. Your choice.
We have 30 people attending, including us.
31.
31 now.
Maybe a few more minutes.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see, you have now 33 participants. Okay, Giovanni, I think that
we shall start.
Yeah, it's 2:05 maybe.
Okay.
Alanna, I don't know if we are already registering. Yes, we are now recording, so we can start if you want.
Okay. Can I go on screen with my camera?
I don't know. We have to ask Alanna. Alanna, Professor Ferri can go on the screen. Yes, he has to turn his camera on. So please, when you...
but it says it is impossible. The system tells me, Zoom tells me that it is impossible for me to switch my camera on.
Alanna, could we fix this? Okay.
So you should probably allow speakers to turn on their cameras.
But I don't know how to do this, unfortunately. Because I'm not the organizer.
Hello, everybody. We are trying to solve a technical issue, otherwise you cannot see our faces. And I think at the beginning participants should be able to see the speakers' faces. Then later on they will see the screen with the presentation, but at the beginning it would be nice to be able to show you our faces. Hello.
Giovanni?
Welcome.
Giovanni?
Everybody.
Hi,
Yes?
it's Cynthia. Giovanni,
Yes,
I think that you need to open your camera. Can you open it?
the system tells me it is impossible to open my video because it was interrupted by the organizer. The organizer has interrupted has disabled my video.
Mm. But you are like a panelist, so you should be available to share.
I confirm that also when I try to start my video, it gives me the same message of Professor Ferri.
Okay, so let's try to make you host. Perfect. Giovanni, please. Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, now I can go on.
Okay, so okay.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. It's a pleasure to be here and to be visible. Sometimes it is better to be not visible. We say incognito, I guess in English, using an ancient Latin word, but not this time, not at this stage. Okay, what you see in my is me in my office, and it's a pleasure to be with you for this third workshop in these 12 months of series of workshops within the Sustainable Business Management Training Program of INVESTMED. Thank you for coming. Today we will move on to have our invited speaker, who is Dr. Marco Nicoli. Dr. Marco Nicoli is besides being a friend, he is one of the, I would say, most expert scholar in terms of business models in relation to seeking to have sustainable motivations within organizations. He has worked. He's a lawyer by upbringing, but he has worked at the juncture between law and economics in many important institutions, starting his professional career at Banca d'Italia, which is an institution which is still there, but at the time when Marco was working at Banca d'Italia, the Central Bank of Italy was printing its own money. Now it is part of the larger project, which is the Euro project. And then for many years, Marco has worked at the World Bank, where he has devoted himself to very, very interesting projects. And one of these projects will be in the background of his speech, I suppose. It is called the human-centered business model. I'm not going to anticipate to you much of what he will say, but the idea is that through business models, we can changing business models and finding the most appropriate business models is essential for organizations, and particularly for private sector enterprises, to target sustainable behavior. And if we think of what has going on in the last decades, starting from there was a period in which the performance of the companies was measured exclusively in terms of the ability to make profits. Now we are in another age, and Marco or Nicoli has worked in the previous age, but with the vision of the future. So let me not spend much more time. He has published important things in this matter, and he has important projects that he's carrying out also at the OECD in Paris and at other important international organizations. Please, Marco, start your own presentation, and then I will resurface from my silence when I will convey to you some of the questions that will be coming from the audience. You people in the audience are invited, you participants from the audience are invited to send me your questions on the chat by writing them on the chat, and I will try to convey a selection of them to Marco after he has finished his speech. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Giovanni. And I hope that you will be able to see my screen.
Yes,
again,
we see it. Yes, we see
okay, good. So good afternoon to all. And first of all, congratulations on being part of this training program. I think it's a good start for you to think about sustainability. As Giovanni was saying, my name is Marco Nicoli, and I have more than 40 years of experience encompassing law and economics, social entrepreneurship, and I have also experiences in developing countries. So the purpose of our class today is to talk about business models and the sustainable transition. We talk about transition, having in mind the business that are already exist, but in case of new businesses, this will not be a transition. This will be a fresh start in a sustainable way. The topic of sustainability is complex, is articulated. However, today we can only have a limited time, so we need to squeeze all this information in a short time. By the way, I did prepare for the participants that are francophone from francophone countries and do not feel comfortable to follow the class in English. I did a French version of the PowerPoint. So I hope you have received, and you will be able eventually to open your French version. Now, in terms of method, since this is a very diverse audience, I'm asking for your collaboration to have a class that is not just one way, but it's interactive. And therefore, also during my presentation, feel free to send chat to Professor Ferri, so that he can interrupt me eventually to reply to your questions, and if something is not clear, to clear immediately, even before the session of question and answers that will be after the first 40 minutes. Your backgrounds are very diverse, so I hope that in this interactive class, we all can benefit from inputs from you, each one bringing again its own background, its own knowledge. Okay, we will use both jargon, which is technical terminology, but also plain language, so common terminology. Otherwise, there could be a barrier in terms of what are we talking about. We will also simplify many aspects that are much more complex in reality, but we need to make it, keep it simple, as much as possible. I count that later on you will spend some time in reading more material, because we cannot cover this topic in just one class. So this is a topic that requires really a learning effort from your side, using different sources. I will provide you some suggestions, but you need to read a lot, because we cannot cover everything in such a short period of time. So first of all, let's start with definitions, so that we are on the same page. And the first definition is the one related to enterprises or businesses. Okay, and what are the relations between the enterprises and the environment where the enterprise operates, which is called the market? Because an enterprise doesn't live in an island. It lives and it competes with other businesses, both at local, but also national and at global level. Okay, so your businesses will compete with other similar businesses in your own countries, but also in your region, and possibly on the global market. And this is important, because you have to keep it. You have to keep the vision of your businesses open, and set very high targets for yourself, for your business. Okay. So what are the key elements of an enterprise? First of all, I would put people, what is called the human capital. And for people, we include certainly the entrepreneur or the entrepreneurs. So if you are the entrepreneur of your own company, but also the partners of the entrepreneur, as well as the labor force that you will select for your own business. So making the right choice of who's going to be your partner, who are going to be the workers that are working with you as a team, it's crucial for the success or the failure of your enterprise, of your business. So be very careful. It's always good to work with friends, but
Marco, yes. Can you please put the full screen to your presentation so that the participants can see it better? Thank you.
Sorry. So I was saying it's important that you select very careful the human capital that will work with you as a team, because from the quality of the people that are working with you, it will depend on the success or the failure of your enterprise. The second element is the capital. So what are the financial resources available to start a business? I imagine that you are fully aware of this. Certainly, you need a starting capital to make a number of investments, but you also need from the very beginning to have a capital to give you the breadth of running the business for the first year or 2 years before you start getting revenues from your business. Another element is the technology. Especially today, technology can vary depending on the area of business of your business. And depending on how much technology you want to include in your vision of business. Another element very important are the rules. Rules, we talk about the internal rules to the company, and these are the bylaws of the company, where basically you set what is the structure, what is the chain of command, who's responsible within the company, the governance, which means basically who within the company is reporting to whom, and what are the internal rules of the company, which are set in the so-called policies. The policies set the objective, okay, of a specific area. So the policies that set, for instance, a certain number of goods produced or services that are provided. But then also you need to have practices, so very practical tools on how to do these things, how to build something, how to deliver a service, how to structure the delivery component of your services. We also have external rules, which are basically the national, regional, and global laws and regulations, which are the contracts that you sign with your own workers, the contracts that you sign with the suppliers, and the contracts that you sign with your customers. Another key element are the so-called stakeholders. The stakeholders are very important, and in the new vision of sustainable businesses, the stakeholders play a very important role. Basically, stakeholders are all the people that somehow are impacted by your business. So I would say we start with the partners of the business, but then we have the workers, we have the banks that are working with your company or you're working with, the investors that can invest money and provide financial means to your business. We have the suppliers. Suppliers are very important. We will see why suppliers are today more important than before. And basically it's because you want to pick the right suppliers. You cannot just select suppliers based on the best price they can provide you with goods and services, but you want good suppliers that are sustainable, okay, that are that respects the rules, especially international rules in terms of ethics. Then you have, of course, you have the enterprise as a stakeholders, the customers or buyers, and consumers. You have tax authorities. So all these stakeholders you should see these stakeholders not as competitors somehow or enemies of your business, but you should build a relationship of trust. You should build a relationship of collaboration with these stakeholders. This is absolutely key, and it's a new I would say recently new approach to a sound enterprise. Now we move now from the definition of enterprise and the market to the so-called business model. Okay, so what is a business model? So now we understand what is the enterprise, and many of you already knew this, but I wanted to cover this. So what are business models? And I'm using as a working definition just one provided by Investopedia, but there are so many that you can pick and choose. But this is a pretty good one. There is not a one definition. There are so many. So for our purposes, we define business model as the core strategy for profitability doing business. And business models generally include information like the products or services that the business plan to produce, but also or to sell, the target market and the expenses and the fiscal regime and so on. So the business model is the way that you are thinking about your own company, how you want to do business, okay? And despite the fact that there are many different business models available, each enterprise usually adopt and adapt its own enterprise to a specific business model, okay? By choosing its purpose, the values, the goals, and certainly the business model of an enterprise, it's not a static model, okay? Because businesses, in order to keep running, to survive and to thrive during the years, they must continuously evolve. They must transform, adapting to the changes that are from the outside components of the market. So let's say if there is a new tax system, the enterprise needs to twist to adapt its own business model in order to possibly benefit from some tax provisions. If there are new technologies, the business model should evolve and adapt in order to take advantage of these new technologies in order to be more competitive, okay? Same thing when there are economic shocks. Let's think about the pandemics that we are still living. A lot of business, a lot of enterprises have changed drastically their own business model. Just think about working from home for many activities, not all of them, but wherever possible, enterprises have adapted their own business model to allow workers to work from home. So these are important element to keep in mind. Now, going a little bit more into the details, very quickly, the business model that we are talking are there is a broad range of business models, going from the classic model of profit maximization to the extreme of not-for-profit, okay? And in between, there is a huge number of hybrids. So there are businesses that they have as a main goal to make profits, but they want to respect the environment, they want to respect some social principles, they want to respect some ethical principles and so on. So it's a spectrum, okay? It's like a rainbow. It's not either black or white. Now, the prevalent model for the last several decades was the profit maximization. And we could use, simplify and call it the capitalistic model. Now, this model, we know that in some cases did bring a lot of damage to the social fabric, so to the people, damages to the environment, damages to other companies, to the market, to the health of the consumers. So stay away from the pure profit maximization model, because it's certainly now clear that this is not a sustainable model, meaning you may have very high profits in the short term, but your business will not last very long. So the sustainability is also in terms of long-term longevity of your business. Then there is a galaxy of so-called social enterprises, again, from pure no profit to hybrids, and you will see this in a lot of publications, and I will provide you also a very good summary of several models. Just to give you a very quick picture, in the US, in the United States, we have the so-called low profit limited liability company, or L3C, the B-Lab certification, the benefit corporations, and other similar entities with other names, because each state has its own legal autonomy, so they can set up a different kind of legal structure. In Belgium, Société à Finalité Sociale. In Italy, we have the Società Benefit, and we have also the cooperatives. United Kingdom, we have the Community Interest Company and many other forms of social enterprises. China, Japan, and South Korea are marked by a very strong cooperative and associative tradition. Very interesting to look. Australia, I would say one of the interesting peculiar form is the indigenous corporation, and the developing framework for the benefit corporations. So you can find tons of publications. I would suggest you to start with this paper that is indicated over here in this link on the PowerPoint. It's a short paper, but gives you this kind of panoramic, okay, of overview. Let's move to why a transition towards sustainability, and in your case, why start a business which is sustainable, okay? Well, basically, there are a number of reasons. First of all, the poverty and inequality, which is growing. A second reason is the huge number of people that lack sanitation or access to drinking water. The overall inequality issue about, just to give you an idea, that the 100 richest economic entities of the 100 richest economic entities, 69 are businesses. Okay, so some businesses are more rich than countries. We need to think about child bonded labor that are still a reality, which is not acceptable. The world 8 richest people have today as much wealth as the bottom half of the world population. So these are all a number of reasons why we cannot keep doing business, or we cannot start our business using old models. The profit maximization created and creates a world that can become explosive, okay? So the most recent, climate change, the COP26 and the G20 are the latest examples of how much the entire world is looking toward a transition versus a sustainable business model. But let's go into the details. When we talk about sustainability, what are we talking about? We are talking, first of all, about economic sustainability. So in order to live long, a business needs to make profits. So what we call the economic sustainability, if the incomes are higher than the expenses, you have a profit that you can use in the future years to buy new technologies, to set aside money for unexpected expenditures, to expand your marketing goals, and to improve the efficiency of your business. So you need to make some profit, okay? You cannot think about running year after year with some losses. Then we have the social sustainability. So again, we need to have a fair business, fair with in terms of relationship with the workers, with the customers, with the suppliers, because otherwise we will risk to go out of market, okay? Human rights is a good reference for an entrepreneur in terms of what are specific targets of social sustainability that we as entrepreneurs should pursue, okay? So human rights is not just an abstract concept and something for the lawyers and for law professors, something for everybody. So human rights means, as we mentioned, for instance, no use of child labor and no use of bonded labor, okay? Labor conditions in terms of safety and healthy conditions of the workplace. The environmental sustainability relates to air, water, and soil pollution, the emission of gases that can be dangerous for the life and health of workers and the communities nearby our businesses. And then the last, the ethical values, or that are usually included under the term governance. Ethical values include a number of principles that, again, are not just abstract. When we talk about anti-corruption, anti-money laundering, tax evasion, these are all elements that as a business, if we want to be sustainable, we need to have in our goals. Okay, so the last three of these key elements, so the social, the environmental, and the governance, are called the ESG, environmental, social, and governance. So the order is not the same that I listed, because I put the social sustainability before the environmental. So the so-called ESG are should guide our planning and the values of our business, if we want to have a sustainable business. Now, why should we start our transitioning toward a sustainable business model? Because certainly sustainability brings its own costs, okay? So people could say, well, you know, I know that everybody is paying bribes in order to get contracts from the public administration, or other businesses are just dumping their exhaust in the air, or in the rivers, or at sea, and they use child labor because it's cheaper, and so on. So why should they do this? I mean, I will be more competitive. I will have lower costs than being a traditional business. So the answers are pretty straightforward. Okay, we have to pick a sustainable business model if we want to have a long-term vision for our business. So if we want to survive, not just for 1, 2, 3, 5 years, but if we want to build something that it lasts, you know, longer, it lasts a generation or more generations. Okay. And if we want our business to compete on the market, because yeah, you know, if we use child labor or bonded labor, we pay less, but we will not be able to sell our products to other companies, because now they are looking for suppliers that are respectful of these ESG principles. Then, again, in very practical terms, access to finance. We said that one of the elements of the enterprise at the very beginning was the capital, okay? So access to finance is important, is crucial, is vital for the business. All businesses needs money not only to, at the beginning, to purchase technologies and tools and build the brick and mortar of their businesses, but also during the life, you know, business need more and more money in order to grow. And today, in order to have access to finance, you need to be sustainable, because investors, banks, shareholders will not lend money anymore, will not invest anymore in business that are not pursuing these social, environmental, and governance goals. So if you think you can work without, you know, money, okay, but you will not be able to do it, to work without money. So you need that. In order to have access to finance, you have to build a sustainable business model. Same thing for access to markets. Why? Because access to market can be simplified into access to the public market or to the private market. And the public procurement, which is the procurement through the local, regional, and national public authorities. So if you want to sell some products or services to the state, to the local government, to your municipality, the public procurement rules are very strict now, and they require businesses to comply with the sustainability criteria. Same thing for the private procurement. You want to sell to a big multinational, you want to sell to your product services to big businesses, national and international, you need to comply with these criteria. And more consumers are thinking and are basing their decision on what to buy depending on the social, environmental, and ethical performances of the businesses. In addition, we have the regulators, we have anti-corruption bodies, anti-money laundering bodies, we have fiscal authorities to hit you if you do some tax evasion. So can you do it? Yeah. Do you risk? Yeah, you risk so much that I would say think not twice, but much more than twice if you are, thinking about using corruption practices or money laundering or evade your taxes. Again, stakeholders participation, we said that there are so many other external entities that should work with your business as in a collaborative form. And last but not least, let's say that sustainable business models are the right thing to do also for people, for the planet, and for prosperity. So sometimes, you do think not because there is a law that is obliging you to do something, but because you believe that that is the right thing to do. Not using child labor, you do it not just because there is a law, but just because it is the right thing to do, okay? Good, let's move. So we mentioned this environmental, social, and governance, or ESG. You will listen this everywhere. And this is the buzzword that everybody's talking about today. And but many organizations are just talking about this ESG without saying, okay, but what the heck is it? I mean, in practical terms, can you give us an idea about what are these ESG criteria, principle, so that we can have it as in a menu of things to do? So this hyperlink that is on the website will give you a, I don't know if I will be able to open it. Yeah, this is the big matrix that you will access with that hyperlink. And you will have a full list over here on the first column about the economic, social, environmental, and governance criteria. And in these columns, you will have different instruments, okay? And you will see with this X's in each box, how the intersection between each single principle and the different instruments, okay? So let me go back to
They tell me that they cannot see the matrix.
Oh, they cannot see the matrix?
No.
Oh, I had it in my screen. I don't know why they cannot see the matrix. Hold on. Can you see it now?
I cannot see it.
You cannot see? I don't know what to
no.
do. You are screen sharing.
Maybe when you share your screen,
Well, anyway, we will.
But maybe you can copy it on your personal screen and.
Okay.
I mean, Marco, just go ahead. And,
okay, so let's go ahead. So these are some of the frameworks.
So
Sorry. Okay. So these are some of the frameworks that are addressing sustainability issues. As you can see, there is the OECD. There are the OECD guidelines for multinational enterprises, the ILO tripartite declaration, the IFC performance standards, and so on. We have the United Nations Global Compact, the United Nations Guiding Principles. Then we have international standards like the ISO, the Global Reporting Initiative, and so on. The Equator Principles. Over here, we have a second list. We have some European initiatives, and we have initiatives from financial institutions or bank or investors. Okay, so this just to give you an idea that this issue about sustainability is not just a blah blah blah. It's not just talk. There is a lot of work behind. There are real, very practical studies and solutions and criteria. Okay. And okay, so this is a summary of what you will find in the matrix that I was trying to show to you, but you can open from the hyperlink on your PowerPoint. So we have very clearly as economic principles, for instance, the profit is put on the same priority level with the social, environmental, and integrity goals. Okay, so you cannot give a priority to profit and pollute the environment or be unfair with your workers or with the customers providing low quality products that could be dangerous for their life and their health. In terms of social sustainability principles, we have the respect for human rights, adequate wages and dignified family living, healthy and safe work environment, equal treatment and equal employment opportunities. Over here, we talk also about gender. We talk about equal opportunity in terms of gender, race, religion, sexual orientation, and so on. Absolute prohibition of child labor and slavery and servitude, respect of employees' collective rights, employees' leisure and paid leave, and so on. Okay, we have on the right column the environmental sustainability principles, and at the bottom the integrity principles, where we talk about ethical and moral business conduct, anti-corruption, anti-bribery, anti-tax evasion, anti-money laundering, and anti-competitive behavior. You will find all these clear reference to ESG, even more detailed in that big matrix and in a number of publications that I will mention to you at the end of our presentation. So, but this table, which seems pretty easy, it's the summary of the reading and comparison with all these frameworks that I mentioned before. So it's a lot of work that is in this table and in the other one. Okay, so use it. It's something very practical for you. So, and we're going toward the end of our my presentation. The many different approaches to transition towards sustainability, in some cases they lack an overarching vision. Okay, a systemic, a holistic approach. In fact, if you go and read about sustainable finance or impact financing or sustainable procurement, this is just a very small part of the entire picture of sustainability. So what I would recommend you to look is this website on the OECD website, where you can, I mean, I'm not saying that this is the best, but it's certainly a very good and practical approach, realistic approach to sustainability, covering the entire spectrum of elements of sustainability. So I'm not here to sell you this specific business model as the solution, but to give you the opportunity to look with a critical eye, because, you know, again, this is not the solution, but it's probably one of the best exercise to look at the entire picture, okay? And also keep in mind that this human-centered business model, it's not a strict model. It's something that everybody can take and think about and maybe improve and adapt to its own vision, its own culture, its own values, okay? So, but it gives you, you know, an idea. Also, it's very important that this model had in mind in its own development solutions for micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, okay? Why? Because, for instance, the OECD guidelines for multinational enterprises was developed having in mind, you know, multinational enterprises. If you have a micro enterprise with 2, 3, 4, you know, partners and workers, you cannot, you know, use the same model for multinationals. This model has in mind the challenges that are in developing countries, because in some developing countries, the legal framework is not very complete, very well developed, very balanced. But even if you don't have a very good legal framework, you can always, as a businessman or businesswoman, you can always decide to do the right thing in your own business. You don't need to be obliged by a law or a regulation to do things in a certain way if this is the right way to go. Of course, you cannot break the law, but if the law or doesn't exist, or if the law doesn't foresee something good, you can also always do it by yourself. Okay, you can build inside your own business. And let's keep in mind that public regulations or impositions can be avoided or can be bypassed if in your business, as a free choice, you put in place policies and practices that are, you know, good policies, good practices from other systems. Okay, so don't wait for your national law on anti-corruption, because you know that that is the wrong thing to do. And even if, let's say, in your country there is not a strict anti-corruption law, and you practice corruption, you will have no access to capital, to finance. You have no access to international markets, and you will have a huge risk in terms of international markets. Okay, so I'm sorry I had to rush in order to deliver you this information in a short period of time. I have included over here my personal email at the UNIDROIT Foundation. If you want to contact me, I will be glad to answer to your questions. But again, my suggestion is keep reading. You need to get more details of this issue of sustainability and the different aspects for your own enterprise. And this link will give you access to a very large number of documents that will cover the details that we couldn't cover in this 40 minutes of class. Thank you very much for your attention, and I am now open to the question and answer part of our session. Giovanni, I don't know if you want to.
Can we please show our faces again, if you don't mind? Can we make us co-host so that we can? I'm talking to the organizers. Okay, Marco can go on. I cannot go on. Cannot show myself.
Probably try now.
No, I'm disabled. Let me try again. Okay, now I'm on, but you're off.
Yeah, I don't think that we can be both on the same.
Okay, no, yeah, then it's better that you are on and I am off.
No.
Okay. I did collect some of the questions from the floor, and let me try to synthesize those for you. There was an initial question by Ella Sufi, who asked, is a pure no profit considered like an enterprise? And I think your answer will be yes, but maybe you want to elaborate. A pure for profit, is it an enterprise?
Yes.
Okay. So
okay. Well, why don't you go?
Okay. Second question is, what about social entrepreneurship along with impact investing? What would be your comment and recommendations in that regard? So linking social entrepreneurship and impact investing.
Okay, so let's start with these questions. As I was mentioning before, in the very wide spectrum of business models, we range from the pure profit maximization, killing the environment, killing the workers, killing the market, killing the consumers in order to make as much profit as possible, to the extreme opposite of no profit, and everything in between. So including, as we said, the social enterprises in the different structures that they can assume are all businesses. So again, the issue is that it's now clear that the profit maximization, the absolute profit maximization with no care about the environment and the social and the ethical aspects, it's a no-go. That is I mean, they are still on the market, but you know, they are going to disappear. They just are going to disappear. The big investors are not going to put any more money in these businesses. So in terms of sorry, what was the third question, Giovanni?
The third question is about the financing part.
Oh, yeah.
And the social entrepreneurship and impact investing.
Yes.
Or, yeah.
Yes. So I mean, Giovanni, you are the master, and you are the expert in the area of sustainable finance, impact financing, and so on and so on. There are different definitions which mean slightly different concept. But basically, I would say, generally speaking, when we talk about impact investing and sustainable investment, responsible investment, are forms of investment from banks and from investors that are taking into consideration what we mentioned as the ESG criteria. So banks and investors will less and less put their money in businesses that are not sustainable. Therefore, a social enterprise has a much higher chance of getting funding and getting, you know, even direct capital, direct investment, if they pursue sustainability, and if they pursue a social goal. What I would strongly suggest is keep in mind always the three aspects, okay? Don't limit to some aspect of the social sustainability and not others. Let me make an example. If I set up a no-profit organization, an NGO, which is taking care of, for instance, orphan kids, okay, or street children, or women that have been subject to violence, or I don't know, refugees, okay. This is a very, these are all very noble social goals. And this will give your business, even if it's a no-profit, a high chance to access to impact financing, to have access to responsible financing. But keep in mind that having just one goal doesn't mean that you can, on the other side, pollute the air, the soil, or the water, okay? So the social sustainability, the social goal of your business should always be accompanied, you know, complemented by these other principles of ESG. So you should still pay, you know, equitable wages. You should still not you know, pollute the air or the soil. You should not you know, pay briberies for this. So the social goal, it's a great you know, card in order to get funding. But again, don't forget the other elements, because in the analysis that an investor will make in putting its money on your business, they will also consider these other aspects. And Giovanni, I humbly ask for your opinion on this, since you are an expert.
Well, it's I totally agree with you. Business, adapting business models is a fundamental passage these days, and particularly not only because of trying to become sustainable, engaging in the sustainable transition, but also because there is an increasing pressure in terms of legitimation. I believe that in order to be legitimate, businesses will have to become increasingly transparent, increasingly accounting to society in terms of what they do. So, I mean, if we move, if you consider that we are moving from the past, the extreme in the past was if you wish, the shareholder view of the enterprises, whereby enterprises could be legitimate just by making profits and not violating the law. Now, the legitimacy of an enterprise requires that that it engages not only in making profits, but it respects society and the environment. This is the triple bottom line that some of you have already seen in our e-lessons. And in the future, we will have a new way of accounting rather than building just some profits and losses accounts. And that's it, as it was in the past. We will have also an integrated social accounting and an integrated environmental accounting all together. So it makes no sense to specify values in terms of economic and financial values without directly correcting for the social contribution and the environmental contribution of that enterprise, because that value is false. And if you wish, at the aggregate level, that's exactly why we are engaging in a sustainable transition, because we have learned that over the last 200 years, since the Industrial Revolution, we have been sending CO2 and greenhouse gases to the atmosphere. And now, nobody was paying for that, but it is a terrible cost that we have, our generations and the generations before us have imposed on humanity on planet Earth. So we need better accounting, and the business model is fundamentally in order to move in that direction. And I also think that enterprises have to become generative in the sense, not only we have to account and become zero pollution and become zero pollution on the environment and zero pollution on society, and make profits with respecting that zero, but we need to have enterprises that are creative, are generative, in the sense that this is a time in which we need to repair the environment, we need to repair society, because otherwise there is no time. Anyhow, let me move on to the other questions from the floor, because otherwise I don't want to be another speaker today. I just want to act as a moderator, but you stimulated me to say what I thought. So there is another aspect that has been brought up by our participants from the floor. Is there would it make sense to have tax incentive or special taxation schemes for social enterprises?
My answer is yes, but you know, the tax system, it's a very sensitive issue, and it's there is a national and international community discussing about you know, tax systems. There is a very fine balance and equilibria between countries, because everybody wants to avoid that other countries will create some market distortions. So my answer is yes, definitely. You know, social enterprises should get some tax benefits based on the positive externalities that they produce, and this is based not just on their bylaws, just the intention, but based on the results. At the same time, similar to the incentive that social enterprises, but every enterprise should get when they act properly, when they produce positive externalities. In my opinion, exactly on the same, with the same system on the other side, businesses that are producing negative externalities like pollution should be taxed more. And this is the system of the greenhouse taxes and credits, the CO2 credits and tax. But this should be in every aspect of sustainability. But one thing is what it should be, another thing is what each country, each government is willing to do. There are a lot of good reasons you could bring to the attention of the policymakers of your country by saying that if there are no tax incentives, they will probably have less impact. There would be less businesses willing to sacrifice some of the profits in order to deliver and to produce a positive impact.
Thank you for your answer. There are a couple more questions about the regulatory framework. And one question is asking whether do our countries' regulatory frames support sustainable business models? And I suspect this refers to the three countries that we are targeting, Lebanon and Tunisia. I don't have a specific expertise. I don't know whether you, Marco, have worked on these countries. So you are free to provide a general answer.
No, unfortunately, I'm also not familiar with the regulatory framework of these countries. But certainly, you could use as your personal benchmark, as your personal target, the standards that are set in some of these other international instruments. As I said, the OECD guidelines for multinational enterprises, or other of those instruments, the World Bank, the IFC. So even if you in the legal framework of your country is not advanced, is not good enough, I would say, it doesn't foresee these aspects of sustainability. Do it by yourself. Take the inspiration and the solutions that are being used in other systems, because sooner or later, well, first of all, this will put your business in competition on the international market. Okay, so if you follow only the regulations of your country, and the regulations are not good enough for the international standard, you will be out of the international market. So you can only compete inside your country. Okay, but if you adopt as your choice, not because you are obliged, but as your choice, a standard, some solutions, some targets that are set by international instruments, then you are automatically exposed to these markets. You are automatically entitled to impact investment, okay? Because you cannot say, oh, I didn't know because in my country there was no, there were no rules for anti-corruption. And the investor will say, well, I don't care about your country. I mean, these are my standards. I will not put money in a business that, you know, is practicing corruption or money laundering or tax evasion. So if you do the right thing, no matter if the legal system, if the regulatory system of your country doesn't foresee this, you are doing the right thing and you are projecting your business in a much broader, in international market and dimension.
Thank you, Marco. There is another question which goes back to the aspects of corruption and uncertainty in the business environment. One of the participants says that how can we grow our business in an atmosphere which is riddled with corruption and uncertain laws, even though as individuals we stick to transparency and anti-corruption in our own work? What is the solution according to your experience in the field?
This is a very tough question. It's very concrete, but it's very tough because there are a number of actions that businesses are using or taking in especially international biddings, certainly at for small transactions, for small biddings at local level. It's much more difficult, but in international biddings, even with at the World Bank or other regional development banks, the African Development Bank, and so on, there are a number of instruments where the participants to a public bidding, they subscribe a sort of contract in which they commit not to practice corruption schemes. Okay, so this is the best answer I can give you. Corruption exists, yes. It will continue to exist, yes. The issue is that if you do practice corruption, you may win maybe one or two biddings, but then you risk much more in terms of, as I said, access to capital, access to markets, and the overall trust that you want to build with your own company. So being a corruption-free company, it's very important. Keep in mind that in a growing number of companies, there is a professional profile which is called the Chief Compliance Officer, or the CCO, which is basically a professional profile that is in charge of inside a corporation, inside the business, to make sure that the business is in compliance with a very large number of rules and regulations, starting from corruption, money laundering, tax evasion, respect of international labor standards, and so on. So if corporations, and we are talking about not only multinationals, but also medium-sized enterprises, have and are introducing this professional profile within their companies, means that it's worthy to invest in a business model that that is built on this principle of integrity. So I mean, really, I don't have an answer. I can tell you that in my personal experience as a social entrepreneur in the field of people with disabilities, and it's a business oriented to include people with disabilities in the labor market, we never ever paid a bribe. Did we lose some opportunities? Oh, yes. But our small cooperative of people with disabilities has been established in 1997. So now it has 24 years of existence, and we were able to compete on the market and probably make less money, but we have also built a brand which is very important also in this field. And just to give you, I'm sorry if I go into some personal, but I wanted to give you a real example, you know. So for instance, just recently we submitted a project proposal to the region of Rome, the Lazio region in Italy, for 100,000 euros, and our proposal was approved. We were, you know, the 5th in the ranking of proposals approved, and part of this success was not only on the idea and on the impact, on the social impact of our project, but also based on the history of integrity that our structure has kept since its own establishment in 1997. So my personal suggestion is, yes, lose maybe some business opportunities, but build a reputation, because this is the long-term sustainability of your business.
Thank you very much. I see no other questions around, and we are approaching 1 hour and a half of our talk, which is the usual time that we use. If there is any further question, we still have a little bit of time. Otherwise, we are going to draw to a close.
Indeed, we have. I don't know if you read the question by Naima Lamaimi. I don't know.
Was it that in the chat or in the?
Okay. Yeah.
Or in the question and answers?
Okay.
What was it in the chat?
Yes, in the chat, and then we have also a question
another
and
one,
answers.
another one. Yes, just came in.
Yes.
Just came in. Let me deal with this.
Perfect.
I have not seen the other one you mentioned, Silvia.
No.
Can you find it for us, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Okay, I will report on these questions that was sent by Navras Abbas. There are huge difficulties in terms of providing enough capital for implementing business in compliance with sustainability rules and surviving in a competitive context. Change for a more sustainable world business is very slow, and this does not help. This is not a question. We need a lot of patience and hope. Okay, I think this is not a question, it's just a statement. There is another one, there is another issue according to one of our participants about the inequity in access to finance, and the fact that what we call sustainable finance might be something that might work for the rich countries, the developed world, but it might not be enough implementable in the developing countries and the countries in the region. Is that also your view, Marco, that what we call sustainable finance, ESG investing and things like that are a little bit oriented towards the developed world, and maybe this type of investments would not work as well in the developing world?
Yes and not. I would say that on a macro level, I would say that there is a huge amount of responsible finance or impact investment, or you call it whatever you want to call it, that is available from institutional investors like mutual funds, pension funds, and also other investors, banks, and so on. The issue is that probably there is more supply than qualified demand from the private sector. So my humble opinion for this group of participants, if they are creating their own business, or they are going to implement or transition their businesses toward the sustainable model, is make sure that you follow what are the basic rules that are requested by financial investors, financial entities, in order to access the sustainable finance. Because it's not enough to say, oh, I'm a good company, I'm a social enterprise, and I'm looking for funding. There is a kind of minimum standard in terms of reporting, because banks and investors need to have access to information that prove that really what you are really doing, not just what you would like to do, but the amount of funding that is available for this kind of financial support. It's huge, and I saw in some of the comments the risk that some companies will say that they are sustainable, but they are not. We talk about greenwashing and things and so on. So there are some standards in terms of reporting. You have to show that you are a good company, you are a sustainable company, because in your bylaws you set sustainability as one of your values. You have some bodies in the structure of your company that will, like I was mentioning before, the example of the chief compliance officer. Okay, so you need to show that you have policies and procedures that will allow your business to be environmentally sustainable, that you are measuring the impact, that you are practicing really equal employment opportunities, because if you have 99% of your workforce which is male, it's very difficult to say, oh, equal employment opportunity. It's just a wishful thinking. So in order to access this huge amount of funding, you need to prepare yourself in order to produce evidence of how you are structured to be sustainable, how you are pursuing your sustainability, and what are the real results. Going back as an example to what we have done with this social enterprise, we can show that in the last 24 years, our social enterprise did create more than 80 jobs for persons with disabilities or persons that are coming from other situation of social disadvantage, like orphans or immigrants and so on. And we have the proof. We have the registration of these workers in the books of and the accounting of our business. So if you want to access this finance, you have to structure your business to be sustainable, having in place policies and procedures, and be able to report what are the impact, what is the impact that you created with your business.
Thank you, Marco. Another question that has just arrived is, what about creating a union that consists of sustainable business model only? So help them access to finance and other business incentives. I suspect kind of this sounds like a cooperative initiative in which there is a code of conduct for businesses that would share some.
Yeah. In fact, among the several business models that I did mention very briefly, there are, for instance, the big corporations, and in any case, the B Lab certification, it's a certification that any business can try to get, providing that the business is able to report on a number of indicators. I believe there are like, I don't remember how many indicators, but look at the B Lab certification, because no matter what is the legal structure of your business, if it's a cooperative, it's a benefit corporation, if it's whatever, even a société limited liability corporation, if you are able to get you have to be able to provide those information on these indicators. But if you cover a certain number of these indicators, you will get the B Lab certification, which is one of the forms of certification that you are somehow a sustainable business. Another big organization is the that is much more. This is much more complex, but it's also much more. It's a global reporting initiative. The global reporting initiative is the most advanced form of reporting on sustainability issues. So even if you will not be able to get or to produce a global reporting based on the GRI standards, but look at the standards and inspire yourself on the basis of this, and produce some kind of reporting at the end of the fiscal year to say that your business did this, and that, and you can make reference to some of the global reporting initiative standards.
Okay. The participant who was asking about the previous question asks whether you can share the link to this certificate that you were mentioning, not the GRI, the one you were mentioning before. If there is a link that you can share, you can write it, you can type it on the chat or the questions and answers.
Let me check.
In the meantime, there is another question regarding the possible link between sustainability and sustainable business and risk management.
Oh, the two things are very closely integrated, you know, absolutely. I mean, there is a huge overlapping.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm looking on the web if certified big operations.
Maybe we can send it to the entire audience in the finalized.
Yes, of course. You can send it to me, and I will
Okay,
send
so
it.
This is one I put it
Okay.
on the chat.
Okay.
But you can just Google it. It's a B Lab certification.
Okay, so we had an answer, and that will be contained also in the recording that we are making at the moment. Okay, very good. If there is no further question, I think that we have enjoyed your presentation, Marco, which was quite extensive and focused at the same time. Changing the business model is not a peripheral issue, but it is fundamental. Also because what is the dimension, what is the specifications, the practical specifications of the sustainable transition today is going to change for sure in the future. We will need to address different issues over time. We will need to adapt, and so a business model that is sustainable is maybe sustainable today, but it could not be sustainable tomorrow. So we need to constantly innovate in this sustainable transition, which is not something which is not an option, but it is a must. If we don't do it, who will do it? So I realize that the situation on the ground may be very different from between Europe and the target countries that we are meeting today. I realize that each one is facing big challenges, and some of these may seem incredibly tough. At the same time, as we discussed, there may be cooperative solutions at hand. You can join forces with other people. You can cross the borders easily with the digital communication technologies that we are now experiencing. And as a matter of fact, while we were talking, a new WhatsApp chat was set up by yourself. So a bottom-up approach. I like that personally. And I think that is very fruitful. You will be able to be in touch with each other, and networking is very important, not only to learn, but also to join forces and strengthen each other in this common walk. Marco, please.
Yes, Giovanni, I was just thinking, and I would like to propose to the participants. I see that there are about 47, so we lost a few of them. But the countries that are participating in this initiative are part of the Mediterranean area, which is one very specific target for the cooperation of several European countries, including Italy. So I'm throwing you the ball. Okay, it's a challenge. Why during or after the end of this training, why don't we collectively put together a project proposal to be submitted to the cooperation development agencies of Italy, France, maybe Spain, to finance a business incubator in the 3 countries, in Tunisia, Egypt, and Lebanon, for sustainable business enterprises. And if there is a joint project, maybe also teaming up with existing business incubators in some of these countries, we may be able to get, you guys, may be able to get a funding for such an initiative. There are many reasons why European countries may want to financially support a proposal like this. So I throw the ball. I throw the ball on the table. Okay. Think about it, and if of course, I see there are already existing incubators. It's fine, because we could build on something. We don't have to start from scratch. But think about it. I'm glad that you have this WhatsApp chat group, and I would be more than glad to provide you my humble contribution and ideas. And then also I will do all my best to contact at least the Italian agency for cooperation development, and scout if and when a proposal like this could be submitted. But I think this could be a very concrete output of the entire training program. And again, it could find also a financial support.
Okay, I think our time is up. Thank you very much, Marco. Again, thank you very much to all the participants, and we will be again on stage, I believe, in January. And of course, please continue faithfully attending our sustainable business management training cycles if you are involved, when you are involved. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.